All right, welcome everybody. Really excited about the webinar today and having our guest speaker Wes Schaeffer on with us. Wes is a legend in the Infusionsoft community. If you're not familiar with him, you ought to be. and Wes is a great guy to have around. For one thing, I love just the fact that he's the sales whisperer. So if you got sales questions, you want to understand how to sell better, Wes is your man. On top of that, it's not just a title. Wes comes through. You know, he has consistently been one of Infusionsoft's top sellers as a partner. So it's not just a title. He knows what he's doing. He puts his money where his mouth is, and he's consistently delivering for Infusionsoft as a partner, but also for his clients that he services. He and his team take very good care of Infusionsoft clients. So with that, I'm going to just turn the time over to Wes to instruct us today and to teach us what he knows. One of the amazing things that he's done to become one of Infusionsoft's top sellers is create a blog that just consistently drives tons of traffic into his funnels. And so that's the topic of the day today, and Wes is going to show us how it's done. So, Wes, thanks so much for being with us, and the time is yours.
Well, Tyler, I'm just glad those 87 other speakers canceled, so you got down to me. So, you know, it's an honor to be number 88.
Not at all, not at all.
And I was going to apologize for my appearance, but I didn't know we were going to do webinar jam and people would see me. But you know what? I wouldn't have shaved anyway. I'm about to go to the gym. You know, this is the beauty of working for yourself. You know, you can dictate where you work, how you dress, when you shave. Although my wife sometimes wishes I would shave more often, but hey,
that's the way it works.
That's the way it works. So thanks for having me. Let's make sure we click this over on the technology side of things. We did a little run through earlier. Let me slide that over. Pull up the screen. Boom, boom. Y'all see that okay?
Yep, looking good. You're in presentation mode and good to go.
All right, very nice. So welcome everybody. I wanted to, you know, Tyler reached out to me and I'm happy to present this. This is true. It's not I've never before seen. At least the public has never seen it. Infusionsoft asked me to present to the partners a couple of months ago, and I gave this, but that you had to be a partner. It's a closed door session. So yeah, and this is kind of a closed door session as well. I don't give this out to the public. I don't just treat this lightly. This is kind of one of my little secrets. Although the things that I show you in all of my training, really, there aren't any true secrets. Okay, it's doing the ordinary things extraordinarily well. Okay, and that's across the board. You're selling, you're marketing. I don't care what it is. You're golfing, your fitness. Okay, there are no silver bullets, but I do want to show you some of the things that I think are often overlooked or misunderstood, or people just don't know. All right, so Tyler's monitoring the chat, so feel free to throw your questions in. I will probably bounce out of this a couple of times. I know for sure I will once. I've got a video I want to show you just from YouTube, 2 videos actually. I'll show you some of the things I've added as well, some little tools and technology I haven't been able to put into the presentation, but like I'll show you my computer and just how I do it. Okay, so you know, so this is how I built a comfy business from home by blogging. All right. So we've always heard that content is king, and content still is king, but relevant content, okay, relevant content is, bam, look at that, King Kong. You see that smoke? Just kind of crazy, huh? Relevant content is King Kong, and you need to keep that in mind, and Google makes that readily apparent, right? When you do a search, you know, I can't even remember the last time I went to page 2 of Google, right? If things aren't right there, we click away, we change the verbiage, we change the search to find exactly what we're looking for. So the question now is, how do you know what is relevant content for your audience, right? Those of you with kids, you probably know this, right, Tyler?
Oh, yeah, swiper,
Explorer, right?
Oh, yeah.
Swiper, no swiping. Well, when you're an entrepreneur and you're writing, you have to keep swiping. You know, Dan Kennedy calls it having a swipe file. All right, and like I say there, only masochists start with a blank page. I just read something, I think it was on Monday, and I need to go back and find who it was, but I kind of personified what I read. And it was basically like this great author, and he said, to be a great author, you know, read great stories, read great content, then and remember that content, and then forget where you read it. All right, so basically, it's, you know, you don't steal stuff, you don't plagiarize, but you look out there and see what's going on, put good stuff in, and good stuff will come out. Okay, so always be looking around, and that's where this next slide. I love this little. I love GIFs. Remember that dude from Caddyshack? What? Notice what you notice. All right, and what I mean by that is, if it gets your attention, it will probably get the attention of your ideal clients and prospects. Okay, so look at TV ads, look at radio ads, look at magazine ads. I fly, not too much anymore, but I'll read the Southwest Airlines magazine. I'll rip out pages that get my attention. I always carry a Sharpie. I'm kind of a weirdo. Because I want to draw on things, take notes on like the shiny paper, but when it hits you, you've got to take notice right then and there, okay? And so 2 examples that I'll show you here on my own swipe files. I wrote the book, The Definitive Guide to Infusionsoft, and so it's green and got the little thing coming out there, yada yada. Well, guess where I got that title from? You know, from Perry Marshall, The Definitive Guide to Google AdWords. So did I steal anything from him? You know, well, A, you can't trademark the title of a book, right? But B, I didn't use his title. You know, I don't write anything about Google AdWords. He had a red background with the kind of splash coming out. I chose green to not be just like him, and also because Infusionsoft was green. All right, but I saw that title, and I was like, okay. And then I'm in a mastermind group with some guys, and one guy is in apartment marketing. So he helps owners and companies market their multifamily residents. So he wrote the definitive guide to apartment marketing. Okay, so I think far too often, too many people make this too hard. Okay, so remember, we're talking about blogging, we're talking about creating relevant content, we're talking about creating content that people are looking for. And so Perry Marshall is well known. This thing sells very well, so it's like, hey, let me run with that. Another thing I swiped from Perry Marshall was the Infusionsoft cheat sheet. Okay, he has the Google AdWords cheat sheet there on the right. I created the Infusionsoft cheat sheet. Now again, there's not one lick of content that's the same, right? He's doing AdWords, I'm doing Infusionsoft. But putting boxes around my things, the different colors, the title at the top, you know, what do all these mean? All these terms mean, so I guess that's the same right in the middle. Right, but I have different definitions, etc. So when you see something that's working, if it gets your attention, right, his cheat sheet got my attention. And I've been reading Perry Marshall stuff since at least 2008. So, you know, I was following him for years, and I created this cheat sheet the first time in 2011. So for years I was looking at his stuff. All right, so you probably have things right under your nose that you can swipe. Okay, borrow it, improve it, don't steal it. You know, don't just put your name on it and call it yours, but borrow the ideas, borrow the structure, and then launch. Okay. And Ty, like I said, you might got a question or want me to cover it, just hit me up.
Yeah, I'll hop in. No questions yet. Looking great,
okay.
though.
You see here now another place. All of these are. I want to give you ideas. I don't want anybody to say, "Oh, I don't know how to write. I don't know what to write about." This is, again, look around yourself, look around your environment, look at what you buy. But here, see what is trending. Okay. Now, like Twitter searches can be good, but you better write quickly, you know, because I think they say the average Twitter tweet is seen for about 3 minutes. That's its lifespan. You know, obviously it lives forever, but people get so many tweets. That's the key inflection point. But you can do searches there. You can use Yahoo Buzz. You can use Google Alerts. So if something is in the news, then figure out how to write about it. Now this takes, it can take a little bit more work. But once you get into the habit, you'll be surprised at how easy it gets. You know, like, for example, when I did this a couple months ago, back in July, LeBron James had mentioned he was going back to his roots, right? He was going back to Ohio. And so what does that have to do with sales training? Well, LeBron is going back to his roots. I said, get back to your sales training roots. Okay, so again, is that a stretch? Yeah, maybe a little. One guy like right away said, hey, way to work it in. But it gives you an idea. Once you begin thinking this way, it will become more of second nature. And that's just for a tweet, right? But I could write an entire blog post about LeBron James and, you know, other athletes getting back to basics, right? Sticking with the fundamentals, going back home. You know, and I can talk about what is your home base, what is your source of energy, or, you know, where do you draw from for motivation, and, you know, say if you're struggling with sales, you know, use the 30-day sales growth as your home base for, you know, rekindling the fire. So you need to have great headlines, and I'll show you some ideas and tips on where to get it, but you've got to tie the headline into your content and your offer. Okay, it's not enough to just say, you know, purple gorillas invade London. You better have a reason, you better have a way to tie that into what you offer. And I'll give you some examples how to do that throughout this, okay? But on the flip side of this, don't force it. This company, PETA, you know, it was Martin Luther King Day or earlier in January, you know, and the plight of animals who are tortured, abused, and neglected. PETA got ripped to shreds. And there's two ways to look at it. Right? You see 436 retweets, 124 favorites. So some might say that was a success, you know, and some would say there's no such thing as bad press, right? So if you're okay to take the heat for something that you do force, and you're like, hey, as long as I'm getting eyeballs and I'm being discussed, then that might work, all right? But in my opinion, they kind of forced it, okay? So I just want to give you an example of the pros and the cons, but you got to put yourself out there. We always talk about it. Magnets attract to the same degree that they repel. Okay, so if you want people to really be singing your praises, you have to stand for something. You've got to be unique, and that is going to rub some people the wrong way. Just 2 days ago on my mastermind call, I showed that Gangnam Style video. That guy's up to 2 billion views, all right? But he has 1.1 million thumbs down. You know, how many of us would kill to have just 1.1 million people just watch our stuff, let alone vote on it, right? So in the big scheme of things, 1.1 million is a fraction of 2 billion. But there are some people that hate that song. And the other example I always give is Howard Stern and Rush Limbaugh. Right? Nobody is ambivalent on those two guys. You love them or you hate them. There's no in between. But they don't apologize for who they are. But that's one of the hardest lessons to internalize for entrepreneurs, for anybody, because we all want to be liked. You know, we'd never like people telling secrets about us on the playground. You know, we always want to be invited to be on the kickball team. But when it comes to business, some people are not going to invite you to be on their kickball team. And you got to be comfortable with that, you know, if you're really going to make a statement in the marketplace. All right. The next place to look for great content, and people are always surprised by this, but go check your sent folder. The beauty of this is you're an expert in your own field, and you probably know it, and you probably don't give yourself enough credit. Okay, And when people ask a question, or maybe they're critical, or this doesn't work, or you said it had this feature, and you'll just fire off an answer. Of course it works. You need to go into configurations and settings, go here and there, and here's the beauty of it. When you do this, then it opens up this feature, and this brings on this, and next thing you know, you got 2, 3, 4 or 5 paragraphs of just golden content that you just wrote stream of consciousness, right, top of mind. So go find those replies to customers and prospects and turn those into blog posts, turn those into short videos. People always think they have to make like this hour-long video. They'll come to me, can you help me with my copywriting? I need to have this email sequence, and they think it's got to be like 3,000 words each. And it doesn't. Blog posts don't have to be 1,000 words. Then you have these epic blog posts you hear a lot of people talk about, and those are great. But you know what? A little 300-word post with a couple of decent pictures, maybe even no pictures. Seth Godin doesn't use pictures. Seth Godin might have a 2-sentence or 3-sentence blog post. Okay, so the main thing is to get started. Go grab these, and you know what I'm doing right this moment? Every single day, one of the first things I do, I'm going back through all of my blog posts. I have over 600 of them. And I'm starting with the oldest first, and I'm going back and freshening them up. Okay, so you can take a 300-word post that came from an email that you sent that responded to question number 3 of your top 10 most frequently asked questions. Make a blog post out of it, and a month later or a year later, maybe you add another 300 words. Maybe you make it one of those epic blog posts of 3,000 words, that you built over the course of a year and added pictures and whatever. You got to get started, but again, this is right under your nose, okay? You have gold sitting in your sent folder mailbox. Next, and this is money right here. Your frequently asked questions is kind of obvious, and pretty much everybody has these. But I got this from Mike Koenig. I'm drawing a blank for a second. And he talks about your frequently asked questions, but also your should ask questions. Okay, and the should ask questions are the money. Okay, that's where basically where the client doesn't know what they don't know, and this is where you're telling them. If somebody says, well, what's the gas mileage on this vehicle? So that's a frequently asked question. 22 miles in the city, 31 on the highway. But then the should ask question would be, I don't know what. Maybe you talk about the importance of overdrive, or maybe it's got some setting that improves towing. If you're talking about a truck, and that improves not only gas mileage but extends the life of the drivetrain, or the differentials for going to the rear axles. Things that people wouldn't think about asking. And when you bring up these should ask questions that the customer never thought to even ask, now it makes them doubt their research, right? Because we all think we're experts. I've been studying this. I've been researching cars. I know exactly what I'm looking for. And then there's a question they didn't even think to ask. They're like, oh my gosh, what else don't I know? And because you were bold enough to shed the light of day on that should ask question, they're going to come to you for additional questions. Now they're coming to you as the expert, okay, and you get the benefit of the doubt. This happens every single day. I talked to 2 people just yesterday that were looking at Infusionsoft, did some research, found my videos, found my blog posts, okay, and then they call me. And that's a beautiful position to be in. Because, look, all of life is sales. I don't care what you do in business. All of you that are on this, I assume, are entrepreneurs and business owners, so you know it, right? But going on a date, that's a sale. Okay, you go buy a car, there's a sale. You go out to dinner. The restaurant creates a menu to make their life easier, to improve their profit margins. So they're selling you on why you should order from the menu and not ask for something custom. Okay, so a sale is always being made. So you need to realize this, and you negotiate from a position of strength. So when the prospect calls me, I'm in the position of strength, and they call me because I've put this content out there. Okay, so have your FAQs, but think hard about your should ask questions. All right, that's the money. So we talked about headlines. Where can you get headlines? And I always remember my grandmother subscribed to the National Enquirer to the day she died. Every time I go visit, she'd have a stack of them. Okay, but go to the National Enquirer website and go check this out, right? Exposed, John Kennedy Jr. death cover-ups. You know, so what could you do? You know, exposed. You know, 7 things Entreport hopes you never ask about email marketing. You know, or I mean, you just it's endless, right? The bottom, Lonnie Anderson war with Burt Reynolds. You know, so you could be, you know, like for me, I could do Southern California entrepreneur at war with shady email practices. You know, it's really endless. Okay, but again, you don't start from scratch. And once you open up your mind to this idea, they call it reticular activation, which is basically, you know, you go buy a new car, right? You go buy yourself a white Ford Fusion, and then everywhere you go is a white Ford Fusion. And so it's not like Men in Black have zoomed down and made every car the same. You're just, your eyeballs, literally your brain, the reticular activation is on high alert because now you're more aware because you bought that car. So once you get into this habit, you'll find good headlines everywhere you look. You almost can't turn it off. It's just, it will come to you, but it does take a little practice, okay? Another good place you can go is go to AOL, right on their homepage, and you see down there towards the bottom, 3 of 43. So they have 43 trending or hot articles at any one point in time, or at least, you know, when I grabbed this screenshot, right? LeBron sets Twitter on fire with public stunt. So, you know, maybe you didn't set Twitter on fire, but, you know, the sales whisperer sets the email marketing world on fire with public stunt. And then maybe I do something, I don't know, I'm going to teach how to write a 300-word email in 5 minutes. You know, so, but you get the idea. But toggle through there, you have 43 headlines. There's got to be one of them that you can swipe, okay, and use it for an email heading, a blog post, a new page on your website, a direct mail piece, okay, because the headline is key. All right, it's super important. So I got a couple more slides to show you where to go. And this one is digg.com. You see there at the very top, my 14-hour search for the end of TGI Friday's Endless Appetizers. And that was actually a pretty funny article. And this woman, she went, if you can find it, go find it. She went from opening, from the minute it opened to the minute it closed, and she just tracked how much she could eat. And her boss even, like, made her a bet and had a good bonus if she ate a certain amount. But what does this have to do with you? Because I can see you saying, well, I don't do anything with food. My business is different, Wes. What does TGI Fridays have to do with anything? Well, what if you did something like this? You know, my 14-month search for the perfect CRM. So that's an article I can write, you know, being in the CRM, email marketing space. How about this? My 14-year search for the perfect website. And people go, well, 14 years, what are you talking about? Well, you know, from the time I left the Air Force and went into sales and became an entrepreneur until I found WordPress was about 14 years. Okay, so I could tell that story and then lead into, you know, the call to action at the end. You don't forget, you're not just writing just to feel good. There needs to be a call to action at the end of that. But from there, I could have a link for a free consultation, you know, to talk with me and my team about copywriting services, about web design, about graphic design, all the things that we do. Okay, I could have a free report. Here's the 17 things that I didn't cover in the article, that you need to build the perfect website. So now they've got to opt in. Now I've got a lead. Now I can drip on them. Okay. But another one related to this, my 14-hour web hosting nightmare. And that's the truth. I had all of my stuff on HostGator, and as many of you probably know, they had 2 big outages relatively close together. The consolation is, they're owned by this big conglomerate that owns a bunch of websites, and they were all down, like literally half of the North American internet world was down. But I don't care that everybody else is down. I want to be up. Okay, and my stuff was down for 12 to 14 hours. So you see how just being aware, get your reticular activation going, right? I grab a headline about eating food at TGI Fridays and turn those into 3 different articles that I could write about similar but different things. Okay, so I hope this helps. I want to get your brains thinking along that.
Yeah, Wes, you're getting some great responses in the comments here. People loving the SAQ comment and direction that you gave. Sam mentioned that she likes to also encourage people to use their own interest too. So like if you like golf or vegan cooking or the music of Queen, chances are your target market likes that stuff too. So just another idea. And then a question that came through, you're probably getting to this more tactical stuff, but I'll just throw it out now. The question is, do you only post on your blog site, or do you put a link to it on Facebook, etc.? Is that considered cross-pollinating? I've heard you can't post it in more than one place. So your thoughts on that?
I do not post the entire post somewhere else. Right. I want the traffic coming to me. If I did write something for someone else, usually I'll just keep it unique to them and maybe link to it from my own site, okay? But kind of maybe this is a dirty little secret of business in general that I've had to kind of come to grips with. And I had Michael Hyatt on my podcast recently, and I'll publish his episode in about 3 weeks. But I asked him about this, and he kind of agreed, kind of didn't. But, I think nowadays, really since the beginning of time, it's all been 10% product and 90% promotion. And Michael was like, I don't think it's that much, yada, but he did agree. You got to promote like crazy. It's not enough just to build a better mousetrap. Okay, so when I do write, and that's what I'm doing right now, I'm going through all of my old posts. So I'm writing new stuff, but I'm freshening up old stuff. So now I have more stuff to share, right? Because maybe I only do 1 new blog post a week, but I can tidy up 2 or 3 or 4 in a week. So now I have 4 or 5 things to share, and I'm putting it on Google+. I'm putting it on Twitter. I'm putting it on Facebook. I'm sharing it on LinkedIn. Okay, but it's not. I'm not putting the whole article. I'm putting the headline, maybe the synopsis, and the link to drive traffic back to my site. So does that answer the question?
Yeah, there was a follow-up question just asking, hey, not the whole post, but what about just a link? And yes. My response is obviously the link is fine. Share the link wherever and drive traffic to your blog, right? Absolutely. Cool.
Yeah, and use things, I don't think I get into it here, but like the URL shorteners, like the bit.ly, the nice thing with those is it shortens it, cleans it up, which is important if you're using Twitter and things like that with shorter character counts. But you can get statistics from Bitly, so you can see the clicks. Obviously, I'm assuming you're going to have metrics on your own website. You can track that, but it's cool to have Bitly. It can be a little more convenient at times just to have that to see the click-throughs without logging in your analytics as well. So, but yeah, make good stuff, but that's not enough. You have to promote it. You got to promote it like crazy. Get it out there, okay? So, little bonus tip, facts tell, but stories sell. All right, so like the headlines I gave you, your 14-hour, 14-month, 14-year ordeal is much more interesting than my CRM is PCI DSS compliant with 256 bit encryption and PHP Stack Overflow with total latency in our SQL server, I can't even read the whole thing, right? But too many people are too technical, and you want to put that technical stuff in if that's who you're going after. If they're technical people, but even technical people like stories. Okay, maybe you make a second post or a part 2 or part 3, and you link to that. Click here for the technical aspects. Click here to read more about the PCI DSS compliance. Click here to understand the PHP Stack Overflow. But the rest of the time, you make an interesting story, and just the mere fact that you have a link and discuss those things, you'll get indexed. So if you need to get indexed for these technical terms, then put them in there. But make them 2 and 3 part posts. All right, you've got to learn to tell a story. All right, it's so important. And I tell you this, I mean, I've lived it. I have a moderately technical background, but since '97, when I got out of the Air Force, I've been in sales ever since. Okay, not an engineer. I do not code. I cannot code HTML or CSS or PHP. I've never done any work with APIs. I don't know that stuff. Okay, but I've sold $1 million worth of very high-end technical test and measurement equipment to Google. Okay, to test IP networks and 100 gig Ethernet networks. All right, and I was barely conversant in it, but I could ask good questions. I could control the expectations of the prospect, and I could bring in the experts, right? My systems engineers and product development managers. I could bring them into the conversation when it was right to help me make the sale. All right, but I think because I wasn't that technical, because I didn't get bogged down on the 7th, 7-step menu, what's way down there in the far bottom right for some clicking settings, I didn't waste my brain power on those, and I connected with the individual, okay? Because marketing is just selling in print. Like it or not, that's what it is. Okay, so I think great salespeople can become great marketers because all you have to do is jot down and document what you do face to face, and that becomes your marketing. Okay, so tell more stories. Should have brought that picture up. All right, good old once upon a time. That stops everybody in their tracks. Reading about parables in the Bible or anywhere you draw from. Why do these stories live for thousands of years? That's the way the human mind works. Okay, so tell stories. Next, a couple more sources for you. Yahoo. Okay, as you see there, one woman's adventures in travel dating. So, one entrepreneur's adventures in the search for the perfect CRM. One entrepreneur's journey in adventures in building a blog that works. Okay, but again, you see there just underneath her picture over to the right, 1 to 5 of 100. Okay, passenger's Facebook post. Tiger barely makes the cut. So what can you pull from? But again, you don't have to just start from scratch. You see over there in the top right, trending now. Farrah Abraham, MSNBC prank call. So stuff's everywhere, okay? They're everywhere. Now, shifting gears from that a little bit, though, once you have the big idea, you'll be amazed at how much you could write and do it in 2 and 3 and 10 parts. Okay, we all are experts in our field, like I said before, and we underestimate the power of our knowledge. But far too often, we go too fast. We gloss over the little details, right, that truly are unique and interesting. If you ever watch like How It's Made, any of those shows on TV, I mean, it's fascinating how they'll, I saw this one, how they make a sewing needle. Right? It's like, give me a break. It's a little skinny piece of metal with a pointed tip and a hook on the back. but it's a detailed process, and they show how they take the raw metal and melt it and spin it, and I mean, there's a lot of things, and so they can make an entire 30-minute show on how do you make a needle. Okay, so like it says there, you get the little magnifying glass, but life is nuanced. Your prospects don't know what you don't know. Okay, it gives you more things to talk about. So I want to show you 2 examples here, and I'm going to log out of here, and I got YouTube keyed up. But like in this example, you know, the Ford shows the console, you know, from the driver's perspective, and, you know, the dash, but drill down to the leather on the steering wheel. Okay, tell me, where'd that leather come from? Is any part of it hand stitched? Why was it chosen? How was it dyed? You know, what process is used to make it black or to make it a special brown? Maybe you've got a white or a cream color. Tell me about it, right? And you'll be amazed at how well that connects. And I'll show you 2 things here. You know, the powers of 10 video. So I got these queued up here. Let me see. You can still see my screen, right, Tyler?
Yep, doing good.
All right. So the iPhone, everybody knows about, right? Even if you're not an Apple fan. Let me go into full screen. And I want to play this for a few seconds, but you'll get the idea.
Of its hardware and software.
This is the back of the phone.
With a larger and more advanced display, launched one of the most significant design and engineering efforts.
Look at how much time they're spending just showing you the up and down volume button. Okay, now we're looking at the camera and the flash.
Since we introduced the original product. With
now they're showing how thin it is.
Display, iPhone 6 becomes taller and wider. We made the design dramatically thinner while developing a smooth, continuous surface.
Right, so that just a real quick, you know, you get the idea from that. And there's a commercial, and I could not find it, and it bugs me, but I get your reticular activators going, but there's a commercial for Mercedes. They're playing a lot right now. And it starts out showing this little, it turns out to be the center console, and there's like almost like a joystick. And it says you can draw on it, and like it detects, it says it can detect your handwriting. So from this $60,000 or $80,000 car, right, they start with this little control right in the middle, and then it zooms out like they do with the cars, and it comes out of the window, and it shows the car zooming away. All right, but it starts with that little bitty, with that nuanced thing, and comes out. So take a fresh look at your offering. If you sell a physical product, it's simple, right, just like Apple. Show me how the buttons work. How much pressure does it take to push in that button? You know, what's it made of? What type of aluminum or alloy? All right, that you could write 87 blog posts about the Apple iPhone, right? It's the same thing is true with your own business. The other, you know, may or may not remember this, but I mean, Tyler, you probably saw this in high school, right? The old powers of 10.
Powers of 10, 1977. That's when I was born, Wes.
Well, so you did see it in school. Right, but dealing with the relative size of things, and it was for IBM, but it was really cool. Let me just play it for a couple of seconds. Shows this nice family having their little
near the lakeside in Chicago. It was the start
picnic.
Of the afternoon, early 1 October. We begin with a scene 1 meter wide.
1 meter
from just 1 meter away. Now, every 10 seconds, we will look from 10 times farther away.
So they're adding a 0, basically. Every 10 seconds, you know, instead of a meter, then they're 10 meters, and they're 100. But you can see, as you zoom out,
even after they've been lost,
you know, as we zoom way out here, you know, it's like, oh, I don't have anything to talk about. It's just the universe, you know. My business, I just make widgets. So let's zoom back in, right? Show me about that widget right there. Show me how that teapot is made. And there's just nuances everywhere. There's interesting things everywhere, okay? So again, I'm just trying to inspire you to let you know there's a ton of things out there to write about, and you have to write about it, or at least speak about it, right? This needs to go into your marketing literature, your own PowerPoint presentations, if you deliver keynotes or you talk, at industry events. These are the interesting things you can talk about that'll separate you from the rest. And imagine giving a talk. Imagine if you're selling the iPhone, or something like that, and you give, a 30-minute presentation on how you chose to make the buttons and the pressure and the aluminum alloy and yada yada, and how it sends the electrical signal to the processor. You say, you know what, I'm out of time, but visit my website and I've got a full report on the 87 other things, how we do it, and how watching King Kong in 1982 inspired me to build the iPhone. Something like that. People go, what the heck? I got to go get that report. Now you've got a lead, okay, and then you can nurture on them. Next, though, still sticking with swipe files. Where can you get ideas? Check the Google. All right. I wrote a post on affiliate marketing, and when you scroll to the very bottom, and I think it's at the top now as well, but certainly at the very bottom, Google will show you related terms. All right. So now, instead of writing one blog post, now I have headlines for 8 others. And maybe it's a stretch. Maybe you can only realistically come up with 3 or 4, but you get the idea. But Google is telling me that human beings are typing in these phrases related to affiliate marketing. So why don't I go research that and make a 300, 400 word, 500 word blog post and then cross-link each one? And that's just what I did. All right. So now I can start to get ranked for this. So whatever your business is, start doing searches. All right. See what others are talking about. And they're just telling you. Google's just handing you ideas to build your business on. Okay. Like it says here, man does not live on bread alone. You need some good images. Okay. Now, a word of caution here. I think too many people are too focused on the graphics and the prettiness. And I know I'm a bit biased, but I'm only biased because it works. And my bias is to start with the words. Okay. Use images that support your words. And I heard a talk from Zig Ziglar. We always hear a picture's worth 1,000 words. And he's like, well, how do you create a picture of the Our Father or the Gettysburg Address? I think the Gettysburg Address was like 270-something words, right? Show me a picture that can represent that. So words are powerful. Even images, music, anything, we see them and we have to translate, right? Make the change in our own brain. But it starts with that written word, okay? Right here. This is just from Monday. I interviewed this guy. I leverage Flickr. You can have a terabyte of data for free. Okay? But I create the image with a good headline. I put it on Flickr. Then I grab the code from Flickr and embed it on my website. So now I get SEO juice from Flickr. And then it also lightens up the load on my web pages, so my site loads faster, so it's a double bonus. Okay, so I'm not saying don't use images, use good images, but use them sparingly and use them to enhance the written word. Now the way I do this from Flickr, I'll show you a little trick. When you go to copy the code, this is what Flickr gives you. I don't know, my mouse won't really show. You see up there at the top the href. This is 100% of the HTML that I know. Okay. Flickr will give you a code that links back to their site. I don't want to link back to their site. So I just replace what's in bold with the URL of my own site or the URL of the actual blog post. So if people click on it, they either go back to the home page or they just loop on themselves. Then I have an internal link. All right. So that's as technical as I get. But leverage the free resources out there like Flickr to get you some more traffic, okay? But finally, what I've been talking about, I kind of alluded to it a minute ago, but you can speak worlds into existence. which is why blogging and writing is so important, right? God did it in Genesis. The Beatles did it. J.K. Rowling has done it multiple times. Okay, so start with the written word. Use the images to support it. And that's all I got to say about that. Those that struggle with writing, there is hope. Especially now with the way technology is, with voice to text. There's drag and dictate. I'm a Mac guy, Apple guy. I use my iPhone quite often. But built into the Mac now is a voice to text. But again, drag and dictate I think works on pretty much any machine. I know quite a few best-selling authors. People would just run around, met at Infusion Con, other conferences, and just good down-to-earth people, and you'd be surprised at how many narrated their books. Okay, and they just would kind of like I was talking about with your email outbox. You know, there's this stream of consciousness. They make an outline or just have 8 or 10 or 20 topics, and they'll just speak on each one. Send that audio to somebody to transcribe. Then they hand it to an editor to clean up. Then they proof it with them, polish it up, and they're done. Okay, so try this. You can get transcriptionists overseas $14, $15 an hour. Okay, and I mean an hour of spoken content. So if you have maybe more money than time, right, try that. Even if you don't have a lot of money, that's a great way to get your content put out there. All right. So like I mentioned, that's the voice memo on the Apple. Dropbox is I think a $5 app that will take memos and put them right into your Dropbox file, so that way they're safe. So if anything crashes, your stuff is still saved. That one on the bottom right is Fire app. I think it was $20 I bought years ago. I use this as a backup for any time I ever speak. I'll be on a big stage and it's being recorded, but I'll turn my iPhone on. I turn this on just to have a backup. Okay, but a lot of different ways to record your voice, all right, and get it transcribed. A couple of other things, kind of behind the scenes, under the hood sort of thing. SEO is super important, but all SEO is taking time to document and name everything. Okay, give yourself a good title, use that keyword a few times in the article, name your images the same thing, use the alt text, use the meta description, use the tagging and categories in your blog. Okay, but tools like this WordPress SEO, it's free. Okay, it's also known as the all-in-one SEO. So you see that on the bottom right, 11 million downloads, okay, 4.8 stars, whatever that is. It's a great tool. It's free. And what this will do is tell you how well you've optimized your page or your post. All right, so you don't have to guess. You don't have to guess, did you name things right or whatever. And it'll even give you suggestions in a search bar to give you some titles or some keyword combinations that might work better for you. All right, but again, this SEO, you're just naming everything. There it is on the right. You see with the page and post categories. I want to get found for sales coaching. I want to get found for Infusionsoft. All right, so you see those as categories of my posts. You see here on the tags. You're just documenting. It's all this is. It's not sexy. It's not glamorous. It's a bit tedious, to be honest with you. But when you make this content, it lives forever. And the more related content you make, Google sees you as an authority. Your page goes up higher in the search rankings. You get more traffic. You get more chances to make a sale. Okay? So you see here these tags for the TED. I gave a TEDx talk, TEDx Temecula. So I uploaded an image. I named it, TEDx talk, TEDx Temecula. Okay, something like that. You see here on the snippet preview, so the focus keyword was TEDx, and you see everything in green. Article heading, yes. Page title, yes. Page URL, yes. Content, yes. Meta description, yes. Okay, I can now publish. I hit all the important things, and you see up there at the top that snippet preview. The keyword is in there. It's in the meta description in the bottom. I've stacked the odds in my favor, okay, to get found for free on SEO. All right. Here's what that blog post looks like when I'm editing it. So you see I've got it in the title, I've got it in the URL. You'll notice as well a little bit more subtle or a nuance. There's a thing called anchor text. Okay, and what that is, I use the name that I'm trying to get indexed for, so TEDx, and you see that highlighted in blue, and I linked to myself with TEDx in the URL. Okay, so anchor text is just using that word as a link, as the anchor of the link. And so you can link internally, and you need to link internally. So maybe, you know, another sentence in there, you know, talked about sales training. So I would hyperlink sales training and link that to an internal page on my site or another post about sales training. Okay, Google likes to see that happening because human beings like to see it. Okay, but again, it's just name everything. You see here in the URL, when I click on that and I make the actual title of it, that's all I'm doing. You know, when I'm done, you know, that's what it looks like. Okay, got TEDx in there. Sales and marketing is another word I want it to get found for. There's what it looks like in the bottom. Okay. I mentioned interlinking a little bit, but you know, here's how it looks. You know, copywriting 101, speak more. Right, I want to get found for keynote speaking. So that link takes you to my keynote speaker page. Get the weekly whisper. So that goes to a sign-up page for my newsletter. Salesperson down there at the bottom. All right, that links to a sales training program. So, you know, it's okay to interlink, cross-link. Like it says there, link to affiliate sites. You know, that's a call to action, and you can win. And when I got started with Infusionsoft, you know, their program was totally different than it is now. And really, we were nothing more than glorified affiliates, at least those of us that wanted to sell it. And I was still in corporate America when I got started, so I made a nice passive income stream by writing posts, linking with my Infusionsoft affiliate link to their site for people to get a demo. If they bought, I got paid. Okay, so don't think this all has to be about you. Okay, if you recommend other things, hey, write about it, link to them, and get paid. Okay, like it says here, you know, that is just, it's a conversion. Okay, so if that's the action you want to take, again, begin with the end in mind. And grab the headlines, write the post, write the detailed, nuanced post, tell a story, and link to that thing. Okay. Last couple slides. You know, you just got to start. Okay. Write on a journal, write on your computer, your iPad, napkins. I don't care. Start writing. Okay. Write with pen and ink. Write by typing. Whatever works for you. Start putting stuff out there. Okay. You've got to schedule it. This is my actual calendar snapshot. Every morning, it's on my. I wake up. I get some coffee, I come, and I start writing. Okay, but you can see here, you know, I've got things scheduled. Go to the gym, write the weekly whisper, write the podcast, write something else. Okay, so you inside of those write and create. You know, I've got topics. I'm always updating, so I'm not staring at a blank screen like, what am I going to write about today? If I didn't finish something today, I'll edit it for tomorrow and save it, and I'll finish it up tomorrow. Okay, but you've got to schedule this stuff. It doesn't just happen by chance. I forget who asked the question earlier. They must have been reading my slides, right? Once you write it, you got to share it. Okay, you got to promote it. So, you know, I use Grow Social. I've got Hootsuite as well. So different tools you need, but get the word out there. It's not enough just to write good stuff. You got to tell people you got good stuff. And something that I use as well inside of my post is this Click to Tweet. It's a free plugin. Okay, but basically I'll pull a headline out or a little snippet that is quotable, right? And you embed it in the post, and so people can just quickly click it. It opens a window. They can share it and go back to reading. All right, so make sure your stuff is easy to share. All right, but I've got a program, a subscription with PR Web. So, when I do programs, when I interview somebody for a podcast, we'll do a press release on it. Okay, I'm not leaving it up to chance. Hope is not a strategy. Okay, it's not how you build a business. So get the word out. And remember, at the end of the day, you're doing all of this to get an opt-in. And you're getting an opt-in so you can drip on them and make a sale. All right, so I'm always working on things. I got a weekly whisper. I got a 40 ways to profit from email marketing system. Get a free chapter in my book. Different looks and feels for the weekly whisper. Different look and feel for 40 ways to profit, depending on the page. So I'm always doing my best to make it easy to get people to opt in. Okay, and then drip on them. So that's it. Move fast. Okay. If you don't have any reports, write a 2-pager, write a 1-pager, and over time you can make that into 3 and 33 pages. Okay, typos won't kill you. I've got them everywhere. When I find them, I fix them. Okay, like it says there, partial sequences are fine. I'll assume quite a few of you are using Infusionsoft or some type of autoresponder. Maybe you want to have 10 steps. You only have 3 written. That's fine. Go ahead and launch. Okay, you can finish the rest as you go. Tell stories, promote. Write, use images, use video, tag everything. And with that, bring on the questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Wes. That's great stuff. Really good comments coming in from the crowd here. So one question that I'm curious about as well. Rudolph submitted this. He's asking more about the conversion side of things, and you talked a lot about headlines and kind of attracting traffic and the SEO side of things, and then at the end you kind of touched on the the opt-in side. So talk to us about like how you use a blog post to then encourage conversion, to encourage opt-in, and then get people into your funnels. Do you write that into posts? Is it just little snippets in like the sidebar of your blog post? Talk to us about your strategies there.
Yeah, it's I have opt-ins everywhere that makes sense. Okay, so maybe in the header you might have it. Maybe you have a pop-up. WordPress is good with their widgets. Okay, so you'll see these different opt-ins like on the right-hand side. So as you're reading it's like a newspaper, right? The article is on the side and the ads are kind of wrapped around her, maybe right in the middle of it. Okay, so they give you the newspaper hoping you'll buy something from one of their advertisers so they can then sell more ads. That's how they make their money. So same thing here. I've got, I'll have the widgets and the opt-ins and pop-ups, wherever it makes sense. But also, you want some type of call to action. Okay, so within that blog post, you got to think through that. What do you want people to do? And at a minimum, okay, because there's a lot of moving pieces and parts, and that might freeze you in your tracks. Oh no, I can't write the blog post if I don't have a call to action. You know what? I've got a signature that I created that just says, hey, if you need more help, check out these additional resources. Okay, and I link to 4 or 5 other things. So at a minimum, start there. And that call to action may be contact us for a quote, contact us to speak with a consultant. Click here for a free demo. Click here to order our catalog. Okay, they get your catalog. Now they're not a passive observer. Now you have their physical address, their phone number. Now you can send physical mail to them. Okay, so it's all of the above. Does that help? Yeah,
that's great. Scott's wondering if you got the video from the Monroe Institute.
The Power of 10?
Yeah.
It's on YouTube.
There you go.
Everything's on YouTube.
Awesome. Great. I don't see any additional questions here. So thanks so much, Wes. Really appreciate it. This has been recorded. It'll be inside our membership site. So for you Double Your Sales Club members, it'll be available to review at any time inside the site. And Wes, we really appreciate you coming on and sharing your expertise. Let the crowd know, what you do in the Infusionsoft community, and why they would want to contact you and what you can help them with.
Well, yeah, I do a lot of new clients, sales. My company's one of a few that they outsource their kickstarts to. So I've got a good team of folks that we can help you in the very early stages. But if you need advanced stuff, if you need just a VA for 5 hours a month just to help optimize it. So, really all stages of Infusionsoft help we can help you with.
So you guys help with actually getting in, implementing Infusionsoft. Do you help with like the web development side as well? Like if they're going to stick forms on their website and all those types of things, kind of the whole front end and back end solution there?
Oh yeah, front to back. Got web designers, graphic people. I'm a writer, of course, so help people a lot of times make like their free reports, their lead magnets, or write an email series. So yeah, beginning to end.
Cool. Sounds great. So those of you, if you're stuck with Infusionsoft, getting stuff implemented, if you're stuck needing writing help, if you're stuck with any of those types of things related to Infusionsoft, go ahead and contact Wes. He's got his email and phone number right there, and he and his team will be able to help you out.
That'll work. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thanks, Wes. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for attending. All right. Bye-bye.